Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. Today's webinar is Build Custom ERP. Thank you for taking time in your busy schedule to join us today. My name is Jose Caso. I am LANSA's Product Marketing Manager. Please feel free to do questions in the Q&A option. We will have a brief moment to answer your questions after the webinar has finished. I'd like to introduce today's presenter. Chris Karch is Principal Consultant in LANSA's Professional Services, and he has been a member of LANSA's community for over 30 years, both as a customer and as a consultant. He also has over 20 years of experience developing and implementing our ERP frameworks application for a variety of customers. Okay, without any further introduction, over to you, Chris.
All right, thank you, Jose. Good morning, everyone. Today's presentation, as Jose mentioned, is about building custom ERP systems, and hopefully the focus would be on presenting our LANSA's ERP frameworks as a basis for doing so. In the introductory slide, you'll see at the bottom that it says, "I am Bob Gleisner, Director of Professional Services." That is not true. Bob was a bit under the weather, so I am substituting in for him. I can say that Bob is a much more polished presenter than I would be, but I am in fact much better looking. So we can take that to the bank and hopefully move on from there. So moving on to the next slide, just a quick overview of who LANSA is, what we offer, and then moving forward from there. LANSA has been in business for over 30 years. It is a worldwide company with offices in various countries. And LANSA is a supplier of development tools and other software that allows you to perform data process integration in addition to application development. Our tools allow you to develop applications that run on multiple platforms, including Windows, Linux, IBM i, as well as in the cloud. And the primary development for the LANSA toolset is performed out of our office in Sydney. Now, with that toolset, LANSA Professional Services has developed a number of different applications that we also offer into the marketplace and that address a number of different needs. And the thing we're going to focus on today is LANSA's ERP frameworks. In addition to the ERP frameworks, we also have an e-commerce application that allows you to develop various websites and portals. And these have been developed over the years by LANSA Professional Services based on what we see as needs and requirements in the marketplace. The LANSA Professional Services team is also a global group with members both in North America, South America, Europe, and Asia Pacific. And in addition to our native professional services team, we also do have a partner network that will also develop custom applications, or in some cases, even host our ERP application. So that's something that might be a possibility to consider. Having said that, just a quick overview about the LANSA ERP frameworks. The software was developed by the LANSA Professional Services team, again, based on the interactions that we've had over 30 plus years of interacting with them, developing custom applications, and meeting their business requirements. The ERP frameworks is not a static application. We continue to enhance it and evolve it as we come across new business requirements or customer requirements, and as new technologies arise, such as mobile, web, all those types of things that you might encounter. The LANSA ERP frameworks was developed using the LANSA toolset, which is the same toolset that we offer into the marketplace. So we're not using anything hybrid or special to make this happen. It's all 100% LANSA. So having introduced the ERP frameworks, what does it contain? And This graphic kind of breaks down the core modules into three main areas. Those highlighted in gold represent the majority of our manufacturing modules. Those in the dark blue or purple, depending on how your screen is showing them, represent the distribution modules. And then the light blue at the bottom represent the financials. Now, the pretty cartoon on the left is one thing. What does that actually look like once you get into the ERP Frameworks application? And that's what the image on the right is depicting. The larger image is what the ERP Frameworks looks like as a user would encounter it. And then the little call out window highlighted in red is showing, the major application areas within the system. Now, if you're eagle-eyed, you may notice that what's called out in that red box is much larger than what you might see on the left side of that Windows application. And just a quick point to note is that everything you would see within the ERP frameworks is easily secured based on users. And things can either appear or not appear dynamically just by setting a couple of checkboxes. So the screen image you see on the right would be something maybe someone in your accounting area would see, where they have access only to accounts receivable, accounts payable, cash management, and general ledger. The bullet points at the bottom, a couple of interesting or important things to note is that the ERP frameworks does assume an IBM I as a backend, and it is a client server application using LANSA's VL frameworks as the GUI front end. As we've seen in the other images, the ERP software does break down into three main areas: manufacturing, distribution, and financials. And those can be implemented individually. Just a quick note, you don't have to implement the entire ERP application. It is modular in design, although it is fully integrated within itself. So, you can use whatever modules suit your needs. When you purchase the ERP frameworks, you own the source code. It is not something where you're purchasing a license to it. You are purchasing the application itself. Again, the application is built with the LANSA development tools. So it does feature all the advantages of using a low code application. And should you choose to implement some portion of the ERP frameworks, you could either go it alone, which I wouldn't recommend, or you can work with the LANSA Professional Services team to help with the implementation and ongoing support. So again, depending on your needs and what your IT staff looks like, we can work with you in any way that makes sense for your particular organization. And then the application can be deployed either on-premise or in the cloud. So you have options there as well. In this image, we're just showing that those three main areas sit on top of the LANSA repository. LANSA is known for having a feature-rich repository that allows you to embed a large number of common business rules and data integrity rules that are enforced regardless of how the system is being accessed. And the ERP frameworks has taken great advantage of that. There are a large number of those types of business rules and data integrity validations to make sure that only good data makes it into your database. And then on top of the manufacturing, distribution, and financial modules of the system are various things that are either part of the ERP frameworks or that you can include on top of them. In terms of business process integration, LANSA does offer EDI services, so we can take care of your EDI needs. We can integrate with a variety of different workflow applications. The system does integrate with desktop applications such as Excel, and we do have an optional executive dashboard to prevent key indicators that someone may want to review periodically. So having said that, let's take a quick overview of the financial modules and what's included there. And I'll talk about the bottom two first. The system is fully multi-currency throughout. So if you're running a single company, but you need to do business in other currencies, here in the US, you may have to deal with Canadian dollars or something like that. If you're a single financial entity with multiple currencies, we can accommodate that. And then if your business happens to have multiple financial entities, maybe you've got footprints in different countries that are running in different currencies, we do have a currency translation module that will allow you to generate consolidated financial reports in a single currency as well. And then working from the top down, we have accounts payable, which is generally what you'd expect it to be, right? Full invoice processing, three-way match processing, payment processing, including ACH capabilities, pardon me, everything you would expect there. An accounts receivable module as well to monitor what's due, timeliness of payments, all the things you would expect in accounts receivable. And then a very robust general ledger module. Again, it is capable of either running in a single company, single currency environment, or you could have multiple companies within the same system. So you don't have to, have multiple softwares if you're running multiple financial entities in your organization. One of the common questions just that normally comes up when we're discussing ERP is everyone wants to know how big is your GL account number. So, to answer that question before it actually gets asked, it is 15 characters long and allows for up to 5 dynamic separators. So if your account number is, 10 positions long and the first 3 represent a division and the next 2 represent, a region, you can build all of that into your GL account numbers, no problem. And then the system also includes a cash management module for tackling your bank account reconciliation, cash forecasts, all those types of things. On the distribution side, we have a very robust inventory module. While it is not a full-blown WMS system, it is very capable and allows you to track inventory at 3 levels: at the plant, warehouse, and individual storage location levels. Now, sometimes people hear the word plant and warehouse and they have expectations of what those things mean. They are just conceptual entities and they can really be whatever suits your particular business requirements. But just be aware that we do have 3 levels for storing that. The system also allows for lot control processing. So both within manufacturing and within distribution, lot control and lot tracking are available to you. Inventory also includes many features such as cycle counting, physical inventory, transfer order processing, available to promise, and many other features as well. Beyond that, the purchasing module is exactly what you would think it is. It allows you to process requisitions, purchase orders, maintain supplier quotes for pricing, multiple forms of receiving, whether you're doing some quality and inspection receiving, or it's just a straightforward receipt into stock. We've got you covered there. It also includes facilities to handle container shipping. So if you're importing from overseas, we can track ASNs and container information, handle all that for you as well. On the fulfillment side, the next 4 options deal with fulfillment, and those would be customer quotes, which is an optional step for many organizations. But if you have need for customer quotes, then you're probably desperately in need of a good quoting module, and we've got you covered there as well. Most organizations just need to deal with incoming orders, so order entry allows you to handle that. We have multiple methods of pricing and discounting to make sure that when an order is taken, you get the correct price on the order the first time. Order entry also has full kit processing. And in our order entry, we have 2 styles of kits. What we call a standard kit, where all the components are the same. Maybe they're inventoried as separate items, but they're bundled together as a kit to make it easy for the customer to order them all at a single time. Pricing is always the same for that kit, seeing how the components are always the same. We also have something called a custom kit, which allows you to dynamically alter the components of what are going to be bundled together, and pricing in that case is dynamic as well. Within order entry, we also have an EDI interface for bringing in customer orders and order changes. So if you have EDI requirements with your business partners, that can be accommodated. And then within order entry, there's a 2-step process to reserve and allocate inventory to make sure that customers all receive their goods in a timely fashion. The system also offers multiple units of measure, so you can have a unit of measure for inventory, a different unit of measure for pricing, a different sales unit of measure. So if you inventory things in eaches, but you sell them in dozens or cases or whatever the case may be, we can accommodate that. The shipping module is exactly what you'd expect it to be. It is the method by which we handle pick tickets and then process bills of lading to dynamically, or not dynamically, but to process shipments of goods out of the system. And you can include freight or other charges, as needs arise. And once the goods are shipped, then the billing module will generate the invoices, the sales invoices for those shipments, and integrate them with accounts receivable as well. So again, the modular nature of the software, if you want to integrate our software with your existing financial package, we can do that. Returned goods then, no one wants to deal with situations where they have to bring materials back in from customers, but everyone has to deal with it. So we have that covered as well. The system has 2 mechanisms that you can use for processing returned goods. The first being the standard multi-step return process, where a customer issues a request to return merchandise, and you give them an RMA number or an RGA number, send them pre-printed labels, then ultimately you receive the goods on your dock. So you record them as received, and then they go through an inspection process to determine if they're suitable to return to stock, or if they're defective and need to go in the bruised and reduced bin. And then ultimately you can issue credit as appropriate based on the quality of the returned goods. There's also a second method where if you just need to process something that's been returned and automate all 4 steps into a single action, we have a single step RGA process that will do that as well. All of those are integrated with our cost accounting module. So every item can have multiple costs associated with it and multiple cost elements, not just a material cost, but material, freight, overhead, labor, whatever your particular environment requires. We can offer up to 99 cost elements for an individual item that are all user defined. And each item can also have 99 types of cost. Out of those 99, 3 are reserved for standard cost, a frozen standard cost, and an actual cost, which is maintained by the system. But then you can also have up to 96 additional cost types to use for whatever makes sense in your environment. Then the last module within distribution is the sales analysis module. And conceptually, that is a data warehouse related to all sales and returns. And it contains a central fact table of all the details of sales and returns, and a large number, I forget off the top of my head how many, but summary tables that are maintained dynamically as shipments and returns are processed throughout the system. Okay, and then the next area of the software is manufacturing. So within manufacturing, we've got bills of material, and the common question is how many layers deep do you go, or levels deep do you go in your bill? We handle up to 99 levels in the bill of material, and there's no limit on the number of components that can be stored at each level. We have a full material planning module that crunches the numbers and generates suggestions for scheduled receipts and exception messages about where your existing supply may be too late or too early. So you can deal with any of those from within a workbench that is provided in the software. The production control and production reporting modules are a work order based system. We generate a shop floor packet that includes a traveler operation sheet and pick list. Those can be customized to meet your particular needs. Everything is work center based operations, routings, bills of manufacture that allows you to track as materials are consumed, as labor hours and machine hours are consumed, and then report any scrap or good production. Those are also integrated within our cost accounting module. So again, you have up to 99 levels or 99 elements of cost that are user defined and 99 different cost types. So depending on your needs, you can handle that as well. Some things to note just about the ERP frameworks. As I mentioned earlier, you get 100% of the source code, so you are in full control of your system. There is no annual maintenance on the ERP frameworks. Again, you're purchasing the source code, not an application, so you own it, and that gives you the option of having very low cost of ownership. And then once you implement the ERP frameworks and use it to customize it to meet your particular needs, again, depending on your IT situation, we can offer you ongoing support and service, either on a time and materials basis, or we can actually outsource all of the support if that's something that's appropriate for you. So why would you actually look at the ERP frameworks and choose it? Those are generally companies looking for something that's affordable, robust, and has options to satisfy all of their needs for manufacturing, distribution, financial reporting. People looking for something that's flexible without having to increase fees. So if your business grows and you need to go from 500 users to 250 or 700 users, there's nothing that's you won't incur any additional cost. If you need to upgrade hardware and change from one processor level to a higher processor level, again, does not affect you at all. You don't have to pay any more money. Again, it is an IBM solution, so just something to keep in mind. Although it's an IBM solution, we do have a graphical user interface so that users coming out of school, looking for something instead of green screen, they can accommodate, or it'll be something familiar to them. Again, you have all the source code at your disposal. People who are looking for a low-code technology platform that makes it easier to maintain and enhance the application. Anyone who's done IT for any period of time knows that writing something new is the easy part, maintaining it over the next 20 years is the hard part. So LANSA makes that a bit easier for you. And someone who's looking for a modern platform that will accommodate, technologies as they evolve in the marketplace, including mobile, web, and again, data integration. Just a real quick slide to show some of the customers that are using ERP frameworks in either the full system or in some portion of the system. I've been involved in a couple of those, and we've had a great deal of success with the software. So at this point, now we're going to jump in and do a brief demonstration. Again, to try and demonstrate an entire ERP application in roughly 30 minutes. I won't say it's a fool's errand, but it's really hard. So what we're going to do is, of those three main areas that I had discussed, financials, distribution, and manufacturing, I'm going to focus on the distribution side because that's probably what's most common to the group that we may have in the audience. So we're going to kind of take the nickel tour through inventory, purchasing, customer order processing. Again, all I can do is really give you a flavor for what's there, and then we'll see if there's any questions that I can address specifically at the end of the demonstration. So again, this is the full set of ERP modules. Pardon, just needed a quick drink there. I'm going to start with inventory. Inventory is kind of central to all of the distribution. And inventory is really the tracking of what and where and how did it get there. So we're going to start talking about the where first. I'm going to navigate through the system and maybe make a comment here or there about things that are important to note. Again, each of these things on the left are the major application areas. You can have subgroups within applications, and then eventually you drill down to what we term a business object. And the first level of business object in inventory that deals with the where we can store things is what we term a plant. In our ERP demonstration system here, we actually manufacture golf clubs and then sell them. So that's kind of what you'll see as we go through here. And we have one plant defined as our manufacturing plant, and then a number of plants defined as our distribution facilities. So again, just very quickly walking through some of these, right? The plant master itself is basic name and address information, some defaults as far as warehouses and locations that could be used if no explicit value is provided for a given transaction. If I then drill down into a plant, you can see that we have any number of warehouses defined. And within the Chicago plant here, we've got warehouses defined for inspection, tracking stuff that's in transit, tracking receipts before they're put away, ultimately to stock. So if I, for example, double click on the stock warehouse, you can see, again, basic name and address information, a variety of flags to control the behavior of the system as transactions are posted against this particular warehouse. Again, not going to go in a great level of detail here, but then as I drill down into the warehouse, I can see that each warehouse has a variety of inventory locations, right? Not very creatively named, but there they are. So if I go ahead and just choose one of those to look at it, again, basic descriptive text, identifying a type of the location, if there's any special handling, maybe it's a a refrigerated area for handling frozen goods, whatever the case may be. So again, that's kind of the nickel tour about the, where's in the system, where can you store things? And again, a 3-level approach: plant, warehouse, and inventory locations. If we then talk about the what can you store in there? Those would be items. And I'll go ahead and search for items that start with 100. And you can see, we have golf club sets, drivers, irons, wedges, all those types of things. So hopefully the golfers in the audience will find this something that they understand. Taking the nickel tour through an item master. Again, there's quite a bit of information available on the item master, so it's broken down into various subcategories here on the left. Basic general information about the item, descriptive text. We do allow to have 3 different ways to categorize items. Some of these categories can affect either pricing or how sales are recorded ultimately to general ledger. They can control on the location master. We saw that there was a type of location. The item type could be matched against those, so we could, prevent you from trying to store a frozen item in a hot area, right? We can make sure that what you're trying to put in a particular location is the correct type of thing that gets stored there. Again, a lot of descriptive information, multiple units of measure for inventory, purchasing, sales, and pricing. There are some manufacturing specific values at the item level, but there's more detailed information at a lower level. Some information about shipping, weights and dimensions, and packaging codes, and then a variety of flags, again, to identify, is it a lot controlled item? How does it handle in material planning and manufacturing, those types of things. So we've talked about the wheres and we've looked at the what's. This add to plant allows you to then bring those 2 things together to say, where is this particular item available to be, inventoried? And you can see that this item is stored in our manufacturing facility and our distribution facilities. We'll go into a little more detail on that later. Those would come together in the plant item master. So again, another search, if we go through there, we can take a quick peek at what that particular driver looks like at the plant item level. Again, basic general information, some categorization, more things you need to know there. Defaults for, where is it stocked, where is it shipped, where is it received into, same set of flags. And then some planning values to allow you to identify if you're doing basic purchase reorder planning, what's your minimum balance that you want to maintain, what makes sense to order from an economic perspective, that type of thing. There's a different set of values if you're doing full-blown material planning, but these would be available to you regardless. Okay. So now we know the wheres and the what's and how they come together. We'll take a quick look at the transactional side of things. The system being integrated as much as it is with order processing, purchasing, material planning, the vast majority of the transactions that get posted against a system are coming from one of those related modules. As you ship goods, we post a transaction. As you receive materials, we post transactions. But you can also issue manual inventory transactions as the need arises. And there's a number of different ways to go about doing that. There's a multi-line entry, single entry. The system does have multiple mechanisms for transferring goods between plants, depending on how you're handling costing. Each item in each plant can either have the same cost or different costs. So depending on what your particular business requirements are, one of these may make more sense for you than something else. The inventory module is also integrated with our general ledger. So as transactions occur within the system, you can then post those to the general ledger as well. So you can keep perpetual and book in sync. A number of other transactions that you can do there. And again, you can do transactions either at the plant level, the warehouse level, or at the individual storage location. All transactions have to be within the context of an individual storage location, but you can use these to just pre-fill in information and make it easier for you to accommodate that. Once you've posted transactions, you may then want to see details of what are your balances, what were the inventory transactions, to answer the question of not only what do we have and where is it, but how did it get there? In this case, again, you've got a lot of options for searching and finding what you're looking for. The balance inquiry provides you a quick snapshot of all three levels. And I can click this button over here just to make that a little easier to see. Again, the framework, that's a common navigation element. So you can do that pretty much within any screen. You can search for what you're finding. And if you want to maximize the area down at the bottom, you just click that and it pops up. So within each plant, I can quickly see where that particular item is stored, and then how many, once I click through the warehouses, I can see how many are in each individual storage location. This item is not lot controlled, so it is not showing me any lot information down here, but we could look at one of those if that was something we wanted to do. Again, more details about the balances within a particular plant or location. So in addition to showing, just the highlights, we can see actually the plant or the system allows you to track not only how many do you have on hand, but how many are actually usable and allocatable. So at the moment, those numbers are all the same, but they could be different. How many are reserved for customer orders or to manufacturing orders? How many are allocated and ready to ship? And then how many are left available for other incoming orders? A quick snapshot as to what are the total open orders for this item, total incoming supply, and then how did we get there, again, as far as calculating those numbers. But as far as looking then at the details of some of those summarized values, I can click on the customer orders and see these are all the outstanding orders for that item in that plant. As you can tell, we're not very good at fulfilling our orders. As a result of doing demonstrations, we tend to enter a lot of orders, but maybe not ship them all. So we're a little bit behind on fulfilling some of these. Likewise, on the supply side, I can then have a quick snapshot into what inbound supply is out there available for me. Again, our suppliers are a little behind schedule trying to get things in. We can blame COVID for certain things, but the fact that a PO is 12 years behind or past due, probably not a good sign. And then you can also do a time-phased inquiry. So, kind of the poor man's material planning, right? If you want to see where you are, where your position is at any particular given point in time, you can look at that. When are receipts coming in versus when orders are due to ship. Although this is a manufactured item, I'm only looking at it in the context of my distribution plant. So there are no open work orders for this particular item in this plant, but I could go and look and see if there were any scheduled to be manufactured out of the plant. And then the last thing is a fairly robust inquiry into all the detailed inventory transactions that have been posted for this particular plant item. If you're looking for transactions within a certain time frame or against a certain customer order, You can fill in all of these and narrow the list of what's being displayed. Again, makes it a very flexible search tool as well. One of the things I failed to mention is that in a number of places, you can right click and either do a send to Excel option. So any of the instance lists that are displayed here, if you kind of craft those searches so that they provide the information that you need, you can quickly dump those to Excel and then generate more detailed or summarized queries from there. And likewise, within individual commands, we also have options to then go ahead and download data directly to Excel from there. Is there anything else I wanted to show you? I think that's it for inventory. I guess one more thing, for any of these individual inventory transactions, you can also drill down into the details and see all the gory bits of information about where this was a positive adjustment. So apparently we did a count and found that there were 12 more clubs than we thought we had. So we put them into inventory, and you can see I was doing this last night. So I was out searching the warehouse and I found 12 clubs before the end of second shift, and I put them in inventory. Were this transaction related to a shipment, I could see the customer order information there. If it was related to a purchase order receipt or an import, I could see all of the purchasing and container information. And then, as I mentioned, the inventory module is integrated with general ledger, so I can also see how this entry would post to the general ledger ultimately once that's done. And it would show me what costs were used in order to do that. So if you're doing a reconciliation between perpetual and book inventory, you've got all that kind of information. Okay, so that's kind of it for the nickel tour through inventory. The other main piece of distribution, and the one most people want to look at, is order processing. So if we go and look at the order processing, again, there's not a where and a what, but it's a who and a what. So we'll take a quick look at a customer master and maybe a ship to, and then we'll actually put in an order. So in terms of customers, again, you've got a lot of search criteria to find the particular record you're looking for. In this case, I'm going to look for me. I actually have a couple of accounts. And if I go ahead and bring up the details of that one, similar to the item master, the key master files in the system have a large amount of values that are needed in order to facilitate business processing. So on the general tab, basic name and address, contact information, some key values there as far as when did the customer first come into existence and have you deactivated it, that type of thing. Miscellaneous settings to identify, again, division, sales region, and subregion are conceptual entities, so they can be whatever you want them to be, whether that's a physical location as to where they are, in the country, or whatever you need them to be. A customer group, which can be used to control pricing, to make it easier to assign sales prices for groups of customers. Everything is fully promptable, in case I didn't show that already. So most fields will have the ellipsis button at the end of it, so you can just click on that. Or kind of a carryover from the old green screen days, you can actually just press F4 and it brings up the same window. So if you're a mouse guy or a keyboard guy, either way works. What default plant do they ship from? You can always override that, but there are defaults to make things flow a bit more smoothly. The preferences tab, so that you can control various settings. If you need to print the customer's item number, if that's how your business conditions dictate, that the customer has their own part numbers and you need to print that on invoices and packing slips, whatever, you can do that. Options as to how they want to be communicated with. So if they participate in EDI or if they just want to receive emails or faxes, they can specify those values. Things from a collections perspective, what's their default terms, what's their credit limit, who's assigned to give them a little call if they're a little bit behind on what they owe you, and what their late AR amount might be, what their current open AR amount is. So again, those are just provided for reference from within the accounts receivable. Each customer has up any number of bill to locations and any number of ship to locations. So again, taking a quick look at that without spending too much time. The customer bill to then, depending on whether you're dealing with a corporate entity that might have multiple billing centers, or just a mom and pop shop where there's only one, everything's the same. You can specify all those things here at the bill to level. Likewise, each customer can have multiple ship to locations. And trying to get to the one I wanted. There we go. Again, settings that are appropriate for shipping needs, where is it? Maybe you're delivering to a warehouse as opposed to sending invoices to an office, that type of thing. Again, a number of different settings that are specific for shipping needs. Who's their normal carrier, mode of transportation, what are their freight terms? Excuse me. And then again, preferences for how do they choose to be interacted with? And I always hate when it's the unspecified value, so I always like to take those off. That's just me though, so we'll save the changes. Having made some changes, one thing I failed to point out is that we do have audit histories throughout the system. So this audit history command will allow you to see what changes have been made to a particular customer bill to or ship to over the course of time. So nice audit history is built into everything for you there. And then at each level, we also have, allow you to specify the contacts that may be important. So those are the who's, and we already know what the what's are. We sell items and we sell them to customers. So let's go ahead and put in an order and see what that looks like. And I was in here playing around earlier and of course had to mess myself up. So let's see if we can recover. Nope. It wouldn't be a demo if something didn't go wrong, right? Okay, so we will go ahead and take a brief pause while I restart the framework just to clear up that issue. And again, this is why demo is a 4-letter word, right? But it does give you an opportunity to see what it looks like when you start the framework from scratch. So we'll take that as a positive. Unfortunately, the server that I'm accessing to run this on is located remotely and it's not the zippiest thing in the world. So you have to forgive me on that one. Okay, so back we go into customer orders. Okay, so back to where we should be. One common feature of the VL framework is that, whatever business object you're on, when you're going to create a new entity or a new entry within that, there's generally a new button here at the top left. So you just click the new and it will take you to that place where you need to be to create a new one of whatever it is you're looking for. So here we're creating a new order. We specify our customer. Basic information you have to specify is at least the customer and the ship to. If you're an organization that deals with customers that give you their own PO numbers as opposed to taking something over the phone on a call center, right? You can record the customer's PO number. And in this case, I had forgotten about these. I meant to take those off, but the system does have a feature we call attention notes. So when you're entering an order for a customer, you can have these notes that pop up as reminders to the person who's entering the order. Apparently, Chris is a really cool dude and he likes Abraham Lincoln. So there you go. This customer also has something we call usual items. It's an optional feature, which is, when this guy calls, these are the things he usually orders. So you can just pick them off of the list instead of keying them in directly. I'm not going to do that at this point. So I just wanted to get to the blank slate. So in this case, I'm going to order a couple of things. I'll order one of those Nito drivers that we were talking about earlier. And really all I have to specify is item and quantity. I could specify an explicit price or grant them a discount or specify where that item is going to ship from. But if I leave them blank, then the system will provide the default values for all of those. So it's gone out, it's done the pricing. It says it's going to ship from plant 10. So that's good. So in addition to golf clubs, we also sell accessories in our demo data. And this item happens to have an attention note as well. And this one may be appropriate in these times of COVID, where it says, advise the customer that we've got supply issues. So there may be some delays in fulfilling this order. And that's basically it, right? So that's the quick way of entering an order. There's a ton of features within order entry. I'm not going to demonstrate any kits at this point. I just want to get a quick order into the system and we'll take it from there. So at this point, all I need to do is click the complete button and the system will ask me, how do I want to process it? I do have an option of either suspending the order, which means enter it into the system, but don't release it for picking yet. Or I could just cancel it and say, nah, the customer changed his mind or I messed it up horribly bad, so just get rid of it. But I can say, I'll say accept it online. The system does confirm the payment terms available or that are being applied for this particular order. And it gives you a summary showing what's the total of the merchandise, any miscellaneous charges or discounts that were applied, taxes to be collected, and then a final total as well. So we'll go ahead and accept that now. And it says the order's been accepted. So it's been submitted and it's being processed. The system does have a very robust order inquiry facility. This one's a bit more or a bit different from what we've seen in that we allow the user to individually choose the search criteria that makes sense for them. So in this case, I've just got a handful of fields that I'm showing, but that should be good for now. So if I want to go out and look at that particular order, I can look at the details of it. Again, see all of the information about shipment releases that are scheduled to go out, what items are included on the order. We can drill down into any of those details and basically perform any kind of inquiries that we need to. One last thing then, I was hoping to get through more, but I'm watching the clock and I see I'm kind of running short on time. Like I said, to try and cover an entire ERP application in 30 minutes is a bit on the impossible side. Whoops. So just for grins, we'll look at the releases that are associated with this. And I can see that I am 100% reserved, which means that inventory has been set aside for this particular order. Just to try and close the loop, just real quick, we'll go through the shipping application, and we'll go through the pick. We'll actually go ahead and pick and ship this order and generate an invoice just so you can see what all of that looks like. And then we'll probably have to stop there. So in this case, I'll go ahead and see what do we have available to ship out of plant 10. And I can see my order here at the bottom. I can double click on it and it will show me some information at the bottom. Really all I care about at this point is whether, I've reserved all the inventory that I need, which I have. So I will go ahead and right click and say select. And it says, it asks, do I want to generate the pick slip for that order? Yes, I do. And you couldn't hear it, but I could, but I got a little message notification that told me that the pick slip had been generated. So now I've grabbed my pick slip. I'm going out to the warehouse. I'm grabbing all the stuff. I package it up into a nice box and I'm going to bring it over to my shipping area so I can, I'm going to ship it maybe via UPS or whatever the case may be. So I'll go ahead and bring it to that shipping area and now it's ready to go. So again, similarly, I can look at the details of it. If I do need to, record in the system what the tracking number was and how much it weighed and what the net weight of the materials were, how many packages there are, all those types of things. If there's any freight to be collected and what the cost of that freight was, I can do all of those things, just add them to the release. And that looks good to me. So again, I'll right click. Oops, I didn't want to say print. I wanted to say select. And it asks, do I want to generate the bill of lading? So yes, I do. So now, just for grins, if I was to go back to order inquiry and search, I should see that the status of my order has changed to invoiced. This particular order type that I'm using is set to automatically invoice at time of shipment. That's an option, so you can either generate invoices as needed or as shipments occur, or you can do them in batch, whatever is appropriate. There's audit facilities, so you can see, how has the order and release change status over time. Again, don't really want to get too deep into that because we're running short. If I go back to inventory, I just wanted to show that if I look for that driver and then go and look at the transaction history for it, I can see that the shipment transaction has posted. It references the order number that I used to ship that. And if I go back to one more thing and look at the releases for that particular order, I can get the invoice number that was assigned to it. And if I go and close the loop, this will be the last thing we do at this point. If I go and look at the billing inquiry, again, a facility for someone outside of the distribution area to look at the invoice. I can see that they have full access to see what orders were included in that particular invoice, what items were included, what shipment releases, what charges were applied, what were the value of those charges, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's about all that we're going to have time to get through because we wanted to leave a little bit of time for question and answers. So at this point.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. So please feel free to do to do questions in the Q&A option in the bottom of your screen. Right now, we already have some questions. So, Chris, here's one of the questions is like, can ERP frameworks be deployed in the cloud?
Yes, it can. We actually have a business partner who we've been working with fairly recently, and they are actually offering a hosted solution. So we have 2 current implementations that are going on with this business partner. So if you don't have an AS400 or you just don't want to, put another application on your server, you can have it hosted for you and make it accessible through the cloud. Yes.
Okay. How does the ERP frameworks total cost of ownership fares against other ERPs?
Yeah, that one's a difficult one to address. It's like the age-old question of how long is a piece of string. Depends on what ERP you're comparing it against, and what the their maintenance agreements are and user pricing. So I can't answer that directly. What I can say is that, again, because you own the software, again, there's no license fees for it. There's a one-time fee to purchase the software. And then, you, depending on how you choose to support it, you may need to purchase, a seat of LANSA development in order to enhance and maintain it, or you could farm that out to LANSA, in which case you wouldn't even have to purchase that. And there is no user-based licensing. So maybe some cloud applications or SAP, you pay different amounts based on how many users there are or what the processor level of your server is. None of that applies to ERP frameworks. So it's a one-time purchase, and then that's it.
Okay, cool. Does it have multi-user controls like record updates, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. Within LANSA, there's something we tend to not lock records, as they're up for review. LANSA in the repository itself provides for something they call cross update checking. So if 2 users bring up the same customer master and both go to lunch and they've typed in changes but haven't committed them, when they come back from lunch, one user will be able to commit their changes, the other will get a message saying, yeah, you have to redo your changes because someone else has updated the record while you were off having a sandwich. So yes, that is all there.
Okay. Can we get a full features descriptions of each ERP module?
Yeah, we do have marketing sheets available for it. And probably the best way to get those to you, I don't know that we have them on the website, but if you can contact someone at LANSA, or if you have an existing sales rep, contact them, and we can make sure that we get you, the overview sheets of each of the modules.
Are there any plans to improve the GUI?
Yeah, and that's an ongoing effort. Right now within the ERP frameworks, we have rewritten much of it as native client server, but there are still some green screen elements that we have snapped into the VL frameworks using our RAMP product. And as people within our professional services group have time available, we do go ahead and modernize those into full-blown client server components, so that makes it a cleaner and easier to deploy solution. So yeah, that is an ongoing effort.
Is there a possibility to use it with Android or iOS app?
Not at the moment. And I always kind of joke that, I don't see many AP clerks wanting to enter their invoices on their phone. But having said that, in jest, there are very targeted applications that make sense to run on a mobile platform. And for something like that, as we would come across individual needs, we would go ahead and develop those and just incorporate them into the base ERP frameworks and then provide them, generally at no cost. So maybe like an ability to take an order, a salesman order pad, or do an inventory inquiry. So someone in the field can answer questions about, do you have any of X available? But yeah, we would definitely do that. But there's nothing specifically there yet.
Okay, thank you, Chris. We have other questions, but I think we have run out of time, and we are going to answer them offline. We're going to send through email. So thank you very much. Thank you for attending to this webinar that it's built Custom ERP. And again, I'd like to thank Chris Karch, Principal Consultant in LANSA's Professional Services, for this demonstration of the LANSA portfolio capabilities. We hope that this webinar will inspire you to explore possibilities with LANSA. In case you joined late, we'll soon be sharing the recording of the webinar. As Chris mentioned, ERP Frameworks is part of the Professional Services portfolio. Our team members who are understanding your business in short and long-term goals can tailor a strategy unique to your company. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact LANSA at sales@lansa.com. This concludes today's webinar. Thank you very much for joining and staying along this long webinar. Thank you.